Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian Farmer at SPY Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Tuesday, October 24th. Let's get to it. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. So we had basically, what I thought was kind of a whippy day, but overall, the indices kind of did a bend but not break kind of day. If you watched my video yesterday, I talked about just, how the indices, remember yesterday's price action just kind of was a big fade in the afternoon. SPY was down, Qs were up a little bit. And I just talked about how we don't really have a strong footing yet for or any major footing, in terms of where the indices are. So now, as we look at today's price action, what we want to kind of determine is, do we have the beginning of some type of a rebound, or are we still on kind of shaky footing? So I'll try to kind of answer that as best as possible, even though I don't have all the answers and I don't have a crystal ball. But I would say for now, you've got some easy things what I believe is some easy things to watch. So for example, we'll talk about the indices first. I'll talk about bonds too really quickly because they had a nice day. But here we are with the S&P. So yes, we had a nice day update today, almost up 0.75%. Did we retake anything in terms of the technicals here with S&P futures? No, we didn't, because we're still below the 5-period moving average, right? This is the, I have that highlighted right now. Why is that important for me? Because it's kind of the first step. It's a little bit of confirmation that at least like this last move that we've been under, where the price has been under the 5-period moving average, if we can begin to take that over, then at least you have a little bit of a footing and a little bit of something to basically trade against. And we're still below the 20, the 50-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average. But for now, we're holding those previous lows. We're holding this red line, which is a virgin point of control. So there is some demand here. And we've got some earnings reports after the close. You've got Microsoft up so far, and you've got Google down. Let's see if those names, or let's see if Google rebounds a little bit. I bought some Google at 131 ahead of their conference call, which should be starting shortly. I believe it's 5:30 Eastern. But so that's where we are here. This was kind of a tough one too that we went over in the beginning of the week. Well, I guess it's depending on how you look at it, but we're so far below the value area, you don't have to worry about any major resistance. You can see that we're coming back to this also virgin point of control. Why are these red lines important? Because that's where the most volume occurred a couple of weeks ago, and we sliced through that pretty decently towards the end of last week, and now we're kind of coming up upon that. So you might have some overhead sellers around that level, and we haven't been able to really take that out. Notice where we are, right? We're not above here yet. So a nice to see a little bit of a rebound. And let's look at the Qs and see if you can kind of determine. Again, I like to kind of just frame this for you, and then you can kind of make your own conclusions, right? My videos are never about me telling you to do this, or or telling you, hey, this is, if it's an interesting setup, then, by all means, you can go long a trade or go short a trade. But and if it's not, then you avoid it. But I never, want to tell you, hey, this is wonderful, you should go long here. So with that said, let's look at the Qs chart. So the Qs, all over the place, and again, like just these little levels of resistance have been so damn difficult lately, right? Like any type of short-term resistance, price has been getting rejected at, right? We talked about this in yesterday's video. We try to get above the value area. We were there for about an hour or so and broke back below. We tried in the beginning, just looking at today's price action, we tried in the beginning of the day and you couldn't do it. And we tried again at 12 o'clock, and like big rejection here. And again, this is just short-term stuff, right? This is just the 5-minute value area for the day, but it kind of gives you clues depending, if you are trading in the short term. And then we had a nice kind of recovery. We got back to the top of value, which was a barrier, because price doesn't normally act like this. 5-minute value areas are very easy, should be very easy for price to get through. You just need a little bit of buying pressure. The fact that we're getting so hung up on these things just tells me that we may not be out of the woods. And I think you still have to really pay attention to your risk here. So here's where we are, so again, a nice day, but the majority of the price action came in the after hours, right? So we just didn't really do too much. And if you look at my spreadsheet, right, one of the things that I look at quite a bit is percentage change from the open. The Qs did manage to go up about 0.5%. So there was a little bit of add-on. They finished up about 1% for the day. Right. So I would say it's a little bit of a starter, but we really need to get into the value area for October. Then I will feel a little bit better. Let me zoom in here for just a second. Again, just analyzing a lot here. We stopped right at the bottom of value and that 5-period moving average. So again, hung up here a little bit. So if we can move inside value, I think that would be at least, I don't want to say very constructive, because this market could be very whippy, right? I don't think right now you can rest assured with what's going on here in the market. IWM had a decent day today. I'm not going to spend too much time here because I don't like to go after areas that are in downtrends like this. This was up close to 1% for the day, but again, not getting over, it's still not able to get over the 5-period moving average, right? Again, these are the first things that I want to see, that the majority of pain is over with, once we've had a dip or correction, is for price to at least get back over its 5-period moving average. So you don't have any of that, right, in the S&P, the Qs, or IWM. So and IWM, in fairness, was all the way below the 5-period average down here. So it had a long way to go, but I don't think that these are things that are really, really great. At least here in TLT, which I mentioned, bonds had a big day, up 1.3%. That's lovely. So again, if we can continue to kind of climb here, it should alleviate some of the pressure on stocks, right? But keep in mind, this is only one of the things that is going on, right? You kind of have to look at bonds and the dollar and some of the other things that are going on right now, right, as different pieces of the puzzle. There isn't just going to be one thing that is going to flip and it's going to automatically make equities go higher. This is something that I think is good to see price get above. So again, you kind of have to say, okay, this is good, this is good, this is bad, and that helps a little bit kind of make a determination. But for me, price action is the most important thing. So that's where we are with that. Here's where Microsoft is trading after hours, and I will go over a couple of charts with you guys. Microsoft has gone up to this version point of control. I think their earnings call starts pretty soon, and I'm not sure if it. Oh, they start at 5:30. I think Google starts at 4:30. That's what I should have this here. That's what Bloomberg said anyway. Google, it says 16:30, which is 4:30, and Microsoft, again, according to Bloomberg, says at 5:30 is when they start. Reminder: Microsoft gives guidance. Google, I mentioned I bought some at 131. I'm trying to take some off here at 134. I don't know if I'll get to do that, but I could take a little bit off here if I wanted, but I'm looking for a little bit more than a buck or two. So that's the story. And I mentioned, right, we went through this ahead of time. I just mentioned like what my trading plan was for Google. And I mentioned if I didn't think the numbers were that bad, I don't think that they're horrible. They missed, I think, on their cloud. But I like buying dips in Google. All right, a couple other things that I wanted to go over, and then we can go through some single stocks. Yeah, breadth was good all day. That always kind of entices me a little bit to be a little bit more aggressive buying the dip. In terms of sectors, KWeb, this kind of got glossed over this morning. I don't know if I still have, I don't have this up anymore, but I think I do have it in my, in here. Somewhere in here, I mentioned that this came out this morning, and again, it just didn't get that much attention. But China is stimulating, right? They're announcing that they're going to be increasing, that they're giving more leeway to their deficits. So China had a big day today, and again, that's on stimulus, right? So while I don't love the overall chart, I was going over earlier the chart of BABA, which I don't like this chart either in the short term for a trading opportunity. But if you look at the weekly chart, right? This may be, at least it has stopped going down and it's kind of basing. It's not inside the value area for the year. That level's 84.62, but this might be like a 2 or 3 year type trade as this is basing, right? And it might need to base for another 3 months, 6 months, but it's something maybe to keep your eye on for next year. I think, because it's still after, and this is sometimes what stocks do, like level 4 decline, level 1 base, and then at some point begin to kind of move up. But again, long time horizon, I think, for now. A couple of names that I like, PDD, which I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned in yesterday's video. I certainly put it out on Twitter that it was looked like it was making a turn. Now, it didn't close on the highs, but had a nice day today, up 4%, something that if you went long yesterday, you could take profits into. And then another one that I think is really risky is this Miniso Group, which I believe is an appliance company in China. Again, super risky, but a couple of charts that I thought looked pretty good yesterday. All right, just to go over, some other areas of the market. So that was your I think that was your best performer, and I think that actually beat the blockchain stocks, which were up a little bit more than that. And by the way, how could I not go over Bitcoin today? Rumors about the Bitcoin ETF being approved, right? Kind of sent this up higher, but I think that there's some other things going on. I'm not smart enough to tell you in terms of like if it's global unrest, if it's the fact that we have a large deficit. Maybe people are thinking that Bitcoin is more in demand. So looking at this, right? It's funny how people are on Twitter. Everybody's like, oh, well, if you didn't see this, you'll miss the move. I think you want to be a little bit more level-headed than that, right? There's too much nonsense going on Twitter. Too many people are trying to call like the absolute bottom in some things or the top. Remember, if you're a trend trader, you're trying to catch the meat of the move, right? You're not trying to catch the turns, right? All this stuff is like people trying to do victory laps on a call that they made. It's complete nonsense, right? So if you're looking at Bitcoin now, it helps to kind of look at a weekly chart. It will have some resistance up here on my chart, 36,505, but that's still a decent level above. I mean, it had such a big move today. At one point, it was up, 10%. So if you like this, it could still make a decent move higher. But overall, it's a nice developing chart, right? Especially when you kind of look at the base that it's made. But yeah, I mean, it's a little, if to put things in perspective, right? And this is why, it's so funny how people are, I guess, on Twitter, but it really hasn't gone anywhere much over the last year. So yes, if you bought the lows in here and if you bought it while it was kind of hanging around the 200-day moving average, congratulations. That's a nice trade, right? Pat yourself on the back, which many Twitter people are doing. But but really, like, it's just a little bit over where it was in the summertime, right? It was around like 32,000, 33,000. The way that Bitcoin moves, it does move with high momentum, right? And this is where it was too back in April. So you're not really, I don't think you really, don't listen to these people saying that you have to get the absolute low of something. It could be a good setup now as long as it stays above these levels here, right? The July and April levels. Remember, it's always much more important to think about where it's going versus where it's been, right? So that, keep that in mind. Forget about where it's been. You have to be concentrated on the road ahead, right? And as long as you've got a stop price, whether it be in Bitcoin or anything else, you could try a trade, right? Because if it's just beginning to trend, it might have a lot more to go in front of it. All right, so that's the move in Bitcoin. A couple other areas that I wanted to, utilities had a really nice day today. Steel names had a good name. Again, earnings is going to dictate some of these moves, definitely, and we'll continue to see that. A couple names that I just, some larger names that I was talking about NVIDIA yesterday, it dipped a little bit. So it did make this move, which we talked about in yesterday's video, all the way to the 80% rule is complete, right? So it made a move up to 439.85. So now, if you're looking to get long or watch NVIDIA going forward, I would make sure that it gets above that level, 439.85, right? And if it does, right, again, this is still kind of going sideways, and for now it's finding support and going, going above there. But I would make sure that it gets above that level, and then you can maybe see a move further, maybe to that 50-day moving average, which is right up here. PDD, I already went over that name. Lily had a nice day today. I don't know if this was mentioned positively at a broker or some service, but it did make a nice turn here and a move above its value area for the month of October. So again, you got a nice level to trade against here, right? Which is 589.73, right? And if it moves back inside there, then it's a little bit choppy, but you've got the 80% rule is just triggered, right? So you can see this on the left of my screen. What is the 80% rule? It means if when price has either started below the value area or above, and it breaks into the value area, it has an 80% chance to go from one side to the other. Again, not 100% chance, but an 80% chance. A couple other names that I thought were interesting today too was Celsius. Celsius made a little bit, a nice little move. It's kind of, you got to be careful with some of these patterns because sometimes they look like they're a bear flag, but it seems to be holding in here. Again, it's kind of carving out maybe a bottom at this point. And I would watch, you could trade against 167 for this one. Uranium names I thought are looking pretty good. Again, I like to see not just one area of the market perform. I like it when there is strong breadth and multiple areas of the market are performing. But I've been liking this uranium group, and it looks like the dip looks like it was bought. So I bought some of this ETF today. Also, notice how it held the bottom of value, and I tried trading it in here, I believe, and I got rid of it somewhere in here. But I'm back in. It held back those it held the bottom of value quite nicely. The other one to look at is URA, uranium, which also is inside value, but I like the uranium chart a little bit better. And then if you're looking at a single name, it's usually CCJ, which is a portion of those ETFs, I believe. And that's 38.66 is the level to watch there. Also, FN, I did get long some of this today. It's almost there in terms of a level that I'm watching. It did not close there, unfortunately. 165.41 is the level that I'm watching. I also like the cyber stocks, but these things are making a little bit of a bounce, but they're getting a little bit held up there where they need to keep turning and move higher. For example, CrowdStrike 183.80. Right, and I am in some Zscaler for now. It also did not make it into its value area, so I'm going to really have to pay attention to this because I don't want to see a rejection and it start to move back the other way. That level is right around 165.36. All right, guys, thanks for watching tonight's video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.